Disclaimer. I am an offensive person. If you are offended by strong language, you shouldn't watch this. And in fact, if you are offended in general, usually by anything, you probably shouldn't watch anything I produce ever. But for the rest of you, sit back and enjoy, and here we go. So the question today is, should we use the words Islamic terrorism? And in a way, it's also separate from the question, should we say radical Islamic terrorism? To me, and I'll get more to that in a moment. But this is still following this trend that has been, after absolutely everything remotely related to the war with ISIS, to the war in the Middle East, because these are groups of people that are Muslim, that there are people in this country who are insisting we need to be calling the problem an Islamic problem or a Muslim problem. Specifically this week, Donald Trump has been attacking the president for not using the phrase. And then Hillary Clinton came out and sort of conditionally used it. And so it's kind of this interesting spot that it isn't totally a Republican on one side and Democrat on the other side. That being said, the people who are in favor of using the term without reserve are generally on the right-wing side of things. As far as the question to whether or not we should use it, I don't think the answer is a simple yes or no. In fact, it's one of those things that no one likes to hear because it's sort of a it depends moment that says some people can and some people can't. And depending on the viewership of this, I might even be saying to a person like, you can't. Honestly, the whole thing makes me kind of angry anyway. And this is where I'm going to kind of unleash, like I haven't so far in the past episodes, this bullshit idea that we need to make the war basically the world against Islam is ISIS's idea. And when we spread these kind of ideas, we are doing their job for them. They are using this as a tool to recruit. Donald Trump is a godsend, is an Allah send to ISIS. That is a serious problem because there is a serious conversation to be had about whether or not religions validate and encourage violence, and which ones do more than others. It's widely understood and recognized that Christianity is broken up into all of these things, and there are the ones that are peaceful. There are the ones that are generally nice people. I come from my past from a religion like that, where people usually describe them as nice, peaceful people, even if they do have a lot of condescending, passive-aggressive ways of being total jerks. But then there are the extremist examples too, like Westboro Baptist Church. It's an easy one to come up with, but even more obscure. In the South, you find churches riddled with hatred, and the fact that you have all of these laws that don't affect anyone else, like gay marriage, like transgender laws, because the proof that transgender bathroom laws don't affect anyone else is that there haven't been any until now. And everyone was fucking fine. Okay? So this is where, and now I'm getting a little bit off topic, but this is where you see the hatred and the love, the loving types of Christians exist. And everybody accepts that. Even me as an atheist. Why aren't we willing to say Islam might be the same way? It might be broken up the same. And maybe most of them are fine people. Even if their ideology is bullshit, just like Christian ideology, just like this idea that morals come from the Bible, one of the most violent, disgusting, and vile pieces of things published ever. The answer to the question. I actually think it is important at times to use the phrase radical Islamic terrorism if the word radical means as much to you as the word Islam. But if you would not refer to the Planned Parenthood shooter as a radical Christian terrorist, you don't get to use the phrase. You shouldn't say radical Islamic terrorist. Because I do think it's important to identify that there are issues that come from religion. And I would say that if we lived in a better world and a better America, we could just use the phrase radical religious terrorist, and that would be fine. However, it is important to be specific, I think, because right now, a brown person who prays 5 times a day, who kills somebody, is a radical Islamic terrorist, even if they were born in this goddamn country and were radicalized at home. We are ready to associate them with ISIS because ISIS took credit. ISIS will take credit for fucking anything. The problem is we can't just use the word radical religious terrorist because everybody immediately goes to the brown person who prays 5 times a day. But then if you mention a Christian who, because of his radicalized ideas, decides to open fire on a place for people's beliefs that oppose his, that's a lone gunman crazy shooter. And by the way, it actually isn't entirely that simple. There are plenty of defenders of the Planned Parenthood shooter. And that Planned Parenthood shooter is a radical Christian terrorist. Period. Over. Fuck, it's done. If you think I'm emotionally attached to this issue, I don't know based on what. So, can you call it Islamic terrorism? Should you call it? It depends. And honestly, if you're excited by the prospect, if you feel hatred, and if the word Islam is what you're there for and not the word radical, no, also fuck you.